Everyone told Ethan to shut up until he did. Ethan was the quiet kid. He always sat at the back of the class, listening, thinking, rarely speaking, but what happens at the end will have you in utter shock. Most people walked past him without a second look, and the few who noticed expected him to stay small and silent. He carried his notebooks closed like private maps, full of ideas he rarely shared. He did not speak because he had nothing to say. He had learned that every time he raised his hand, someone talked over him, or laughed, or dismissed his idea. That reaction built slowly in tiny moments: a rolled eye, a quick joke, a teacher moving on. Silence felt like shelter, a place where he could keep his thoughts safe from cutting words. Even at home, his voice often faded into the background. Dinner conversations moved around him as adults discussed work and errands, and his suggestions were often met with polite, distracted smiles. Over time, Ethan stopped offering his ideas, folding them away as if they were fragile objects for another day. When the teacher announced a presentation project, Ethan felt something stir in his chest. The assignment asked each student to pick a topic they cared about and share it with the class. For most students it was routine. For a few it meant choosing a funny or flashy subject to get laughs, but not for Ethan. He stayed up late the week before, shaping each line until it felt honest. His topic became simple: why listening matters. He wrote stories from his own life, the small ignored moments, the ideas never tried, the way people missed things when they were not paying attention. He practiced in front of the mirror until his jaw no longer trembled and he could meet his own eyes while speaking. On presentation day, the hallway hummed with energy. Friends traded jokes, some students whispered last-minute lines, and the classroom smelled like crayons and dry erase marker. As he walked in, the noise felt heavy, his breath shortened and his confidence shrank. He held his paper like a thin shield and waited, palms clammy, for his name to be called. When he began, his voice was small and careful. He read the first sentences as if testing the air. A couple of students snickered and one voice muttered, "Here we go." The instinct to retreat rose inside him, familiar and urgent. Instead, he kept reading, and that small decision mattered. If you've ever been in Ethan's situation before, then hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next is shocking. Halfway through, something shifted quietly. He remembered why he had written the speech, not to impress but to name real things that happened to him and others. He found a clearer tone and began to speak from memory, not just the page. The words came steadier, and as they did, he felt the room change in small ways, shoulders uncurling, glances turning toward him instead of away. When he finished, there was a long, steady beat of silence, then a slow clap from the teacher that spread and became warmer. It was not wild cheering, but a recognition that felt honest. After class, a couple of students came by the desk with real questions and comments. One asked how he had decided the structure of his speech. Another said a line had stuck with them. Later, the teacher stopped him in the corridor and spoke quietly. "That took courage," she said, and asked if he would bring more ideas to class. She recommended a club meeting where he might find students who cared about the same things. That day after class, as everyone filed out, Ethan started packing his books. Then a soft voice came from the back. "Hey, Ethan." He turned. A boy stood there, smaller, shy, eyes fixed on the floor. "I just wanted to say I used to be like you," the boy said, scared to talk. "But seeing you today, maybe I'll try too." Ethan froze. For a moment, he saw himself, the old version, hiding in the corner, wishing he could speak up. He smiled and nodded. "You should," he said. "You'll be glad you did." As the boy walked away, Ethan realized something. Confidence isn't about being louder than everyone else. It's about helping someone find their own voice. That day, Ethan didn't just find courage. He passed it on. That night, he opened a fresh notebook and wrote a list of topics he wanted to share. He wrote without thinking of approval, simply because the writing helped him sort his thoughts. The habit became a private practice that strengthened his voice in quiet ways. Years later, Ethan would look back on that moment, the day he finally spoke up. He didn't know it then, but that single act of courage would change everything. Because confidence doesn't start with applause, it starts with a whisper. "I can do this." If this story resonated, leave a comment and share a moment when you found your voice. Tell us what helped you speak or what still holds you back. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories from Animate Archives. Stories that remind us how small choices turn into quiet strength. Till next time.